welcome back. Today we're going to make a block that is called Viola. So first, it's two separate blocks. One is this checkerboard one, and I already did this in the last video actually. So I'm going to just replay those parts, but this is what it's going to be. These are the fabrics I chose, which is this one and this one out of this Halloween bundle I got from Walmart. So I'm going to go ahead and replay those now. And this is what we'll have. It's obviously going to show the Christmas fabrics I used in the last one, but I did these two. So I'm going to do that and then I'll be right back. But we're going to have two strips of each. It's only going to be two colors. So there's fabric A, fabric B, and I cut two strips that are 1.5 inches by 15 inches. And then I just sewed them down together long ways and ironed them. So then we're going to cut these into 1.5 inch sections. Excuse me. On this, actually I'm going to do it backwards because my ruler has just 1/2 inch, so I just line it up there and it'll be perfect. But first I'm going to trim off that extra, make it smooth there. And to do that, I lined up one of these black lines with the center line there where I stitched down, and that made it even. So now we're just going to line it up and cut. And out of each strip you should get 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 of them, 8 sections. Well, actually I got a little bit more out of my first one, so I'm not going to cut that many out of this one, but you're going to want to cut 8 sections to make 2 sets of this block. So I'm only going to need 5 here because I already have some. Cut one more and then I'll use this. I'll save this. I'll either use it for another block like this or just something else. I mean, maybe my scrap quilt. There's no need to waste it. I'm going to leave it just like that. So now what you're going to do is you're going to make 4 patches just like that. So we're going to take these and fold them opposite, and I'll pin them. Very easy to line up one seam. And one more. I'm going to sew these down and then I will be right back to show you the next step. Alright, so I've done that. Now we're just going to iron them all open. And you have 4 patches. And now I'm going to just show you the next step, and I'm going to go ahead and do it because if you've watched any of my videos, you know how to do the next part. So now we're just going to lay it out just like that, and I'm going to sew these two together and these two, and then I'm going to take those and sew those will be sewn together. So and then I'm just going to fold them down and sew that and make the block. So I'm going to do that and I'll be right back. Okay, done it. Now you should have 2 pieces just like this. We're going to lay those to the side. All right, so for the next block, you're going to need 1 square of each. Now this one's different. I used the white again, but this time I used the skull fabric, but I still chose a black tint. So we're going to make half square triangles out of this. So you're going to, I chose to do the 2 lines. I put the 1/4 inch line down the middle there, and I just drew a line and then spun it around and did the same. So now I'm just going to sew down those 2 lines and I'll be right back. All right, I've done that. Now what we're going to do is cut this in half down the middle there. And we'll iron it open, and then we're going to turn these half square triangles into an hourglass block. Well, 2 hourglass blocks. Excuse me. Iron them open. So we'll use both these. We're going to trim these down to, well, not to anything in particular. We're going to take them and line up this diagonal line right here on this diagonal line, on your stitch line, seam line. And we're going to go as close to the edge as possible while still having just a hair to trim off there. And we'll trim off both the corners there, or both sides rather. We'll spin it around, and now we're going to do the same thing, except we're going to go and line up. Let me spin this a little so you don't get my head in there whenever I'm cutting. We're going to line up the 5. If I didn't mention it, I'm so sorry. If I didn't mention it, these squares started out at 6 inches. No, this square started out at 5.5 because I can make it work. You should start out with 6 inches if you want to be safe. If not, the 5.5 will work if you're experienced. If not, I would do a little bit bigger because I would rather waste, well, I don't waste it. Mine will go in my pillow, but if I didn't, I would rather waste a little bit of fabric rather than having to redo the whole thing. Because if I waste a little 1/4 of an inch now, it's going to be a lot better than wasting the whole thing because I cut it too small. So you're going to line up the diagonal and the 5 and then trim it off. You should still have just a little bit there to trim off. So let me put this in my little tub. Now we're going to take these and we're going to do it this way first because I don't want to line them up until I'm done. So this one I'm going to do, the other one I did 2 lines. This one I'm just going to line up corner to corner. And you can do this either way. That's not the right pen. I use my friction pen that the heat erases it for this. And you can just draw the one line down and then you'll sew a 1/4 inch on either side of this line. I've done it both ways. I can do it both ways. I actually think I prefer the 2 lines, but I like to show different ways because I think that's what you're here for, to learn different ways, to try different ways, but I don't know. Okay, so then we're going to make sure that lines up the whole way and pin it. And then we're going to sew down the 1/4 inch on either side of that, and I'll be right back. All right, we'll pull the pins out. Same as last time, we're going to lay this down, cut it down the middle. Ooh, whoops, hit the square. Then we will iron it. These fabrics are at Walmart now, but mine sold out of them really fast. So if you were interested, I wouldn't waste too much time. So now I'm going to show you how to trim up this one. Square it up, I guess, would be the correct term. So this square came out to 4.5. So now we're going to trim this one down to 4.5. So to do that, first we're going to line up the 2 1/4 dot, which is right here. This one right here, if you can see that. We're going to line that up right there on the center of all our points. And then we're going to turn it so that the diagonal line also lines up with that diagonal line. It'll be through 2 different ones, but we're going to trim those off. Now, the only problem with that is if your points don't match up, that line could be crooked for you. So you just have to kind of work with it. Don't get discouraged if it doesn't line up at first. Anybody that ever got it on the first try, well, they had God looking out for them because I don't know. Anyway, so now we're going to do the same thing. Line up the 2 1/4, and the 4.5 should line up right there on that point, which mine does. And then you'll line up the diagonal line and your 2 sides. And as long as you line up at least 2 of them, the rest should fall right into place. So there you have it. And you're going to have 2 of those because we cut 2, or 2 blocks made 2. However, I already had that done, so I have mine here. Now we're just going to lay out the block. So for this one, these are going to go like this. I want my, actually no, I want my black to go out. And then I want the white to match up here because I want those 2 to be opposite. And then this one will do the same. So they'll lay out the same, and these 2 will lay out the same. So now we're just going to sew these 2 and these 2, and I'll be right back then for the next step. All right, done that. Now we are going to lay it back out, and then we'll just fold this over and pin it. And I'm going to sew down this side, line everything up. Down here. All right, I'll sew that up and I'll be right back to show you the next step. Well, I realized I said next step, but we're done. So now I just get to show you what it looks like. It's a little off there, but nothing for me to worry about. I'll just trim it down. So there you have it. It is called Viola. I got a little wonky on that one, but no big deal. There you go. Let me know what you think. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you make the block and love it, and I'll see you next time.